Longhorn fans, Sooner Nation, welcome to episode 162 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, me and my youngest daughter were at home on Friday, December 27th at 11 a.m. and proceeded to watch the entire Armed Services Bowl featuring the University of Oklahoma and the Naval Academy. We proceeded to watch all 3 hours of the game. We will talk about all aspects of the game. The game ends in a loss. And I just turned to my daughter, shrug my shoulders and say, well, that's about how the season should end. Right? I'm not even mad, Kevin. I'm not even upset about anything. I'm just frustrated and despondent over a season lost. All the fears from the year that we had losing Dylan Gabriel, and what would that mean? And how would that play out? The toughness and the relentlessness of the SEC schedule that we had to face and how that would play out. Then you compound that with all the losses that we suffered, wide receiver, offensive line, a little bit on the defense. Let's not forget Kendall Dolby was a huge loss. And we had one bright spot against Alabama, 24-3. But other than that, a disaster of a season. And it sucks. It sucks to be an Oklahoma fan right now, an Oklahoma football fan. And so when the game ended, and we will talk about the decision to go for two, and we will talk about Michael Hawkins' performance, I just, my give a rip meter barely moved. Because this is what I've seen all year.
Yeah, nothing new.
The 13th example of what I saw. And nothing changed. So we get into the car right away because we're going to go run some errands, right? Because it was during a work day. So we get in the car, both of us. We turn the post game on, and they start taking callers. And these people, Kevin, are out of their minds. They're out of their minds, Oklahoma fan. I mean, Brent Venables is a clown. The game plan was a joke. This team needs a complete rehaul. How do we think Mateer's going to handle it? The outrage was insane. And I'm going to be honest with you, Kevin, I felt guilty that I wasn't more angry. I felt guilty that I wasn't as pissed off as everybody else was. But Kevin, the cup is drained, dude. Like, I got nothing. I got nothing. That game on Friday was exactly what we've seen in bits and pieces the entire year.
Yeah, it really was the fitting way for y'all season to end. It was par for the course all year.
Let's talk about this game. Michael Hawkins played a very, very good football game. A very good football game.
He was good enough.
28 of 43, 247 yards, the most passing yards, by the way, of the season, except for Maine, which has been discussed on this show, does not count. So I'm going to say the most passing yards in a game against an FBS opponent, 2 touchdowns. His receivers gave him 7 drops, Kevin. 7 drops.
That's rough.
3 of those drops were game-changing plays that would have resulted in very significant chunk yardage, if not touchdowns. Very disappointing. Now, are we on our 6th and 7th receivers? I guess, but all these dudes are 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever. Zion Purdy's a 4-star.
And they've been here all year. It's not like this is their first game experience. These guys have been out there for the majority of the season. That's what's disappointing.
And these weren't tough catches over the middle that they got rocked on.
Deep balls wide open.
Deep balls wide open. You know, I'm not convinced that Hawkins is a great passer of the ball. His motion kind of looks funny. He kind of looks like he lunges a little bit. I think one could argue that the timing on those passes maybe could have been a little better, but they were on target. And it was bad. Okay. He then proceeds to rush for 13 rushes, 61 yards, had a 50-yard run called back on a holding call. It was probably holding, I guess. It's a really good run. But outside of the first two drives, well, I say that, even outside of the first two drives, he played really well and put the team in position. Look at the drive chart here. First drive of the game, 9 plays, touchdown. Navy goes 6 and out. OU, 6 plays, touchdown. Navy goes 6 and out. OU, 12 plays. We haven't had sustained drives like that all year. I mean, 3 in a row, series in a row where we're having sustained success. We can't pick up a first down against Navy on 4th and 1. The question is, do you even go for it there? I don't know. It's a bowl game, so part of me says, why not? The other part of me says, man, it would have been nice to have a win. I think he probably could have kicked a field goal. Or you punt him and pin them back because they're not doing anything. Navy goes 3 and out. Same thing again, 6 plays, can't pick up another 4th and 1. And at that point, I turned to my daughter and said, hey, you can't keep letting a team like Navy hang around.
Correct.
They're not a bad team. They're not a great team, but they're not bad, and they're scrappy, and they know how to win, and they've won 9 games this year. You don't let a team like that hang around. And sure as crap, Oklahoma lets them hang around. Our offense goes into a complete shell. Defensively, whatever. I mean, it's Navy. You're going to give up 21 points, I think. I don't think it's unrealistic.
Correct. No, not at all. 21 points is fine. Scoring 20, however, is not acceptable. And allowing a 95-yard touchdown run?
Kevin, it's a 95-yard touchdown run on a quarterback draw to a white quarterback. Now,
who's not named Eric Crouch.
Who is not named Eric Crouch. I am not a racist, necessarily. But I'm a realist. And the white quarterback from Navy should be able to get caught by one of our defensive backs at some point.
Correct. Yes, Peyton Bowen was on the field. Eli Bowen was on the field.
And, look, Navy does a lot of stuff to you. Okay, it's a lot of window dressing. It's wing tee. You don't see it all the time. You got to adjust. Oklahoma did a pretty good job defensively.
Yes.
And on that one play, they caught Oklahoma in a perfect play call. Oklahoma was playing for the edges, playing for the spread, they did something. Maybe it was a bust. I don't know, but they just caught him just right. But God dang it, run him down. Yeah. What are we doing?
And again, like you said, par for the course all year, right? The defense has been good. All year it's been good, but
would you agree though? And I don't know how much you got to saw. I know you were in and out because you have a real job. You were in and out working all day. But there were some busts that Navy did not take advantage of. You'd agree with that,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, in the first quarter, I mean, on that 4th down, you got the receiver wide open, overthrown him. He missed about 2 or 3 throws that could have been touchdowns.
Yes. So Oklahoma, far from playing a perfect defensive game, played good enough to win. They played good enough to win almost all year outside of LSU and Texas. They played good enough to win all year. Yeah. And it was another example of that. Was it dominant? No. Did you miss having Stutzman out there? Probably. But you only,
against a Navy, you would think a linebacker like him would be pretty effective. But again, that's not the issue. You've got good linebackers.
And Kip played well. Kip and Omasigo led the team in tackles. Ethan Downs was right there. Eli Bowen. It was just fine, I guess, right? And this is how I felt after the game. It was like, fine. Okay. Whatever. We're down 21-14. Defense holds. Get the ball back. And Hawkins, in what I thought was his best drive of the year, marched us down the field. I mean, he looked really, really comfortable. The play calls were good. It was just a really, really well-orchestrated 2-minute drive. Okay? Yeah. We scored a touchdown with 6 seconds left. Now, this is another thing Oklahoma fan was very fired up about, is why do you go for 2? Because it's a bowl game, Kevin.
Correct.
Because it's a bowl game. And some people
like that was absolutely the right decision there.
some people are making the argument, oh, well, you're a better team, and the better team takes overtime. Are we the better team, Kevin? Are we?
Yeah, you have
Do
better
we-
players.
Do we
You have better
really
players,
think?
but are you the better team? Yeah. Good
Are we
question.
the better team? Do we really think we can hold up in an overtime situation against the wing T? If we were to get to 2-point tries with the wing T, we really think we could stop them? I got to tell you, Kevin, I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah. Their entire offense is built on getting 3 yards.
It is a bowl game, and you just scored with 6 seconds to go. You do have undeniably the number one athlete on the field, and it's not even close at quarterback.
Not close. Correct.
And Joe John Finley, who called an okay game, back to just kind of my theme about this whole stupid game, was it was okay. I got to tell you, man, that was a really dumb play call. Why are you leaving the most dynamic player on the field in the pocket?
Correct.
Yeah. He throws so well on the move. And when he doesn't throw well on the move, he sure does run well on the move. And how you don't give him that option? We've run 2-point conversions with him all year, like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And he runs the ball. I mean, if you want to be mad about that, be mad about that, because that was just stupid.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, I agree. I'm with you. The decision to go for 2 for me was completely the right decision.
Sure.
With the play call, I was expecting quarterback counter to the right side of the field. That's what I was expecting. Shotgun. He gets the snap. You have 2 pulling linemen. He follows behind them. It's an easy walk in. Or even if it's a physical play where you have to force your way into the end zone. But yeah, I thought for sure that's what we were going to see there.
I expected a rollout to the right.
Yeah.
And he rolled out, and he's got a couple receivers. The big tight end had just made a big play. Roberts. Carry On had played well all game, which we might talk about him a little bit more. He brought some life to the party, right? And his size looked good.
Yeah, really big
I don't know
dude.
where he's been all year. It's just mind-blowing. But I just expected a rollout, maybe a couple routes, kind of follow him along. He's got the option to pick. If not, he heads for the corner,
Right.
And nobody's catching whatever, dude. So we lose the game. Okay. Again, Oklahoma fan is beside themselves. I'm like, what did I expect him to like suddenly get good in 3 weeks? Like, no.
Correct. Yeah.
No, I didn't expect it to suddenly get good.
And who knows? Maybe people thought, and I don't think it's super unreasonable. I think, hey, okay, with the extra practices, some focus time, getting some guys out there who maybe hadn't played a lot, but were hungry to show what they can do going for into next season. Maybe we'll show something. And nah.
Hey, dude, if they convert the 2 4th downs, the game's different, man. We win the game going away.
Yeah.
And I did not see an unmotivated Oklahoma team. I thought they looked plenty motivated. And
I thought y'all were ready to play. I thought y'all were ready to play.
Michael Hawkins is, for whatever, good or bad, and I think most of it was good. I think all of it was. He had a fumble, but the defense backed him up on that. He's a leader, man. People play for this guy. You can see it. Like, it's an eye test. But my God in heaven, get him running the ball. Whatever. So anyway, we go into a shell offensively. Navy scores 2 touchdowns. We win it. All right, everybody's mad.
Here's the issue I have too.
I'm not mad. I think I'm not mad because I don't know what we expect.
Yeah. Well, here's a question I have, though, as far as the game plan. What's up with the running back usage?
Oh, my God. Now hey, you want to get me mad about something? Well, I said this in the preview. I don't want to see Gavin Sawchuk. I've seen enough Gavin Sawchuk. He went 13 for 67 and a touchdown. Okay, great. Great. Where was Xavier Robinson and Taylor Tatum?
Yes.
And then you roll out freaking 6 carries for 21 yards. 6 carries for 21 yards for Xavier
It just
Robinson.
really seemed like after that Missouri game and after the Alabama game, like this was the guy. This is our running back. He is RB1. And clearly he wasn't. 6 carries. I don't even know if he was out there in the second half at all.
Kevin, it boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. And then you throw Sam Franklin in for 2 plays, and all that poor kid does is drop it twice.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I just don't know. And everybody thinks Taylor Tatum, he's a 5-star. I got to tell you, this is a bowl game scenario. And I keep coming back to that. Okay. It's an exhibition. It really, really is. There's nothing. Do I want to win? Of course I want to. It's an exhibition, though. This is your chance to let Xavier Robinson and Taylor Tatum compete for the starting job next year. Guys,
Right.
go see what you can do. 9 carries between the two of them. I just
It's so interesting, right? 'Cause, you remember the first year that Venables was there, and you guys played against Florida State in the bowl game. And what did you do in that bowl game? 27 carries for Javante Barnes, and then 15 carries for 100 yards for Gavin Sawchuk in that game. Those are your
yeah,
young running backs, and you let them cook. Let them go to work. Hey, show what you can do.
against a good Florida State team that year. They were 9-3, I think.
Yes, they were 9-3 going into that game. So it's just kind of wild that you come 3 years later and you've got some talented young backs and you don't even give them the ball.
Okay, look, this is what I talked about with Ben Arbuckle. Okay, is will he be able to have the leadership and the management ability and the gravitas to look DeMarco Murray in the face and say, stop running Gavin Sawchuk. Stop putting him in the game. Give us some playmakers. And if they're not ready to go, that's your fault. You're the running backs coach. Develop these guys. They're not freshmen anymore. By the time we hit a bowl game, they're not freshmen.
Right.
Run them in these games. Kevin, it's maddening, dude. Sawchuk played fine. Again,
Yeah, he wasn't bad.
Fine, whatever. It's not what you wanted to see coming out of the Navy game. It's just not.
6 carries, man. 6 carries.
3 for Taylor Tatum, and people love Taylor Tatum. I like Xavier Robinson. I just want to see more of him. You've got a 14-0 lead. Line up. Now, did he pick up the 4th and 1? No, he didn't. So maybe he doesn't pick up the 4th and 1, and they stopped giving him the ball. I don't know. Look, we did have a fumble. We had a missed field goal. Elzinga had a fake punt that was pretty cool, actually.
That was actually, that was good. You can see that one coming. It was well designed.
But he did not have a good day. He did not have a good day punting outside of that. He was actually
he had
off,
a couple
which is
weird shanks.
Which is weird because he's been a great punter.
He's been really good, yeah.
The defense allowed 226 yards rushing. We talked about Navy's longest play from scrimmage ever for a touchdown. Navy has been playing football for a very long time. I don't know. All right, so that's Friday, Kevin. That's Friday. And I don't know what this even means. Everybody's disappointed. We should be, I guess, whatever. I'm just frustrated by it. Okay. We get to Saturday night. This is last night. And I'm actually watching the NFL game, and Twitter starts hitting that Zac Alley has accepted the position. The defensive coordinator at Oklahoma has accepted the lateral position of defensive coordinator at West Virginia, working under Rich Rodriguez. By the way, I think it's weird that West Virginia rehired Rich Rodriguez, but that's another
bringing
discussion.
the old gang back.
That's another discussion. I think that's odd.
They were really good, though.
Well, yeah, they were like one play away from making the BCS, I think, playing against Pitt, right?
They screwed up their, the rivalry game.
We had to play them that year, too, in the Fiesta Bowl. We got our butts kicked.
They were
This is Pat White.
motivated. Steve
Pat White. Yeah, man, they were good.
They were really good.
Okay, so many thoughts about this. And whatever they are, it's just not positive for Oklahoma. So there's 2 prevailing thoughts. And I'm gonna put out the 2 thoughts, and you tell me if either or both or none are true. Number 1, Zac Alley has left the defensive coordinator position in Oklahoma to go to West Virginia because he will now be the sole defensive coordinator. He will have charge of the defense, and he will get all the credit and all of the blame for how it performs, putting him in a better position to be a head coach more quickly. That's option 1. Option 2, the Rats are jumping off a sinking ship, and he knows the ship is sinking, and he's saying, I better protect myself and get paid along the way, and I'm out of here. Kevin, if it's number one, I guess, but it's still Oklahoma. You don't leave Oklahoma. Kirby Smart
Correct.
didn't leave Alabama
That's right.
because he wasn't getting credit for the defense.
Yeah, that was
He
Nick
stayed
Saban.
at Alabama and got the job to coach at Georgia.
His dream job.
Dan Lanning didn't leave Georgia because he wasn't getting credit under a Kirby Smart-led Georgia Bulldog defense. Instead, he stayed at Georgia and got the position at Oregon, and he's playing for a national championship. I don't think number one is it because it doesn't really follow what other coaches have done in the past.
Correct.
So number two, so ergo, does that mean the ship is sinking and the rats are looking for a way off?
I think so, man.
Oh.
You have to think about it. Why would he leave OU otherwise to go to West Virginia? I know he worked for Rich Rod before, and I know it's Brent Venables' defense.
He called Brent Venables his second dad.
Correct. So yeah, this is
less
very
than a year ago, he is referring to Brent Venables as his second dad. And I have seen differences in the defense. And I am just some dude. Real athletic directors and head coaches can look at that defense and see that there are differences over the last 2 years. They know that he has an impact. They can see his energy. They can see his recruiting. They can see a lot of things. He doesn't have to leave. Anyway, go ahead.
No, man, this is I'd be very concerned if I was an OU fan at this. Why leave now and to go to West Virginia? And I know this is always going to be seen as Venables' defense, but like you said, at Alabama, it was always seen as Saban's defense, and Kirby was there for years. Same thing with Dan Lanning, and we've seen countless other examples. So what was it about this season? What was it about working with Venables that made him leave so quickly? And from looking at some of the stuff online from some of the local OU writers, we're saying that OU was really kind of caught off guard by this.
Well, it wasn't financial. OU came with a very competitive financial offer.
Yeah,
it wasn't
over $1 million,
financial.
right?
Yeah. West Virginia dropped a bag, but one that it was matched by OU.
Correct.
I don't know, man. I'm caught off guard by it. I am. I think OU fan needs to be duly concerned. Look, there's going to be a large group of OU fans that go, well, Brent Venables is running the defense anyway, so it's really not a big deal. Just, promote from within, which I think is probably what he's going to do, which did that work offensively? But anyway, so then it's going to be like, okay, we are 6-7 this year, Kevin. He had 17 losses in 3 years at Oklahoma. That is unheard of since John Blake.
There's a whole generation. You can be 25, almost 30 years old.
Gary
Gibbs
have
no idea of anything other than winning in Oklahoma.
Hold on. Gary Gibbs' record at OU. 44-23-2 over 6 years. So he got fired with that. He got fired, and that was bringing a program out of probation.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And what was John Blake's record?
Let's look it up. 12-22.
Okay.
Yeah, but 22 losses in 3 years is not a lot different than 17. And you would have to admit that the talent has been quite a bit better than it was in John Blake's era.
Yeah. Correct.
He hasn't won a bowl. He hasn't won a bowl game yet. He hasn't won a bowl game.
And when you look towards the future, what is there for you guys to be excited about? I know you have Mateer and Arbuckle coming in, but if you look at the roster up and down, I don't think from a talent level, it's where you want to be.
I disagree.
Do you?
To an extent. I disagree on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
I think our defense is really good. I think you're returning Jaden Jackson. I think you're returning Dominic Williams. Knock on wood, I think he is. R. Mason Thomas, Kip Lewis, Robert Spears Jennings, Eli Bowen. Hopefully Gentry Williams comes back. If not, I'm okay with how Jacoby looks, and maybe there's somebody else that can fill in. McKenzie, Canick, Omasigo. I'm okay there from a linebacker spot. We might not be done in the portal. On the defensive side of the ball, I am okay with where we're at from a talent perspective. Now you start getting into the too deep, maybe there's concerns. I don't know. I don't want to go that far down, but it's not the end of the world. Offensively, we've talked about this. You have Mateer. You've secured most of the offensive line. You're returning all your running backs, which I don't know if that's a win or not if DeMarco Murray's the one who decides who plays. The receiver depth is concerning. Carry-on looked better. I don't know why Deion Burks didn't play. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why are you going to be available?
Not see him out there.
Why are you going to be available? And again, I know these are bowl games, but dude, you're getting NIL money. Like, play.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason you shouldn't be playing in a bowl game is if you're prepping for the NFL draft.
100%. Or you've entered the transfer portal. Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
If not, you're on the team and you play the game that's on your schedule. Like,
that's right.
I don't know what we're talking about. So,
yeah.
So I am concerned though offensively at the skill positions. I don't think our offensive line is amazing. I do think we've added some good pieces in the portal, and I think we're going to be able to develop and all of that.
I feel like you've had to overhaul your roster too much and too often to build the type of competitive depth that's needed to be successful in the SEC.
I can't disagree. But you're talking about that, Kevin. This will be the third defensive coordinator in 4 years, in the 4 seasons. The fourth offensive coordinator.
You only get so many Mulligans.
And not because they all took jobs.
Correct. Yes. Only, what's his name? Levy. And you got ready to run him out of town anyway.
He made some dumb calls at times.
Yeah. Y'all hated that guy last year.
Dude, he didn't kill it at Mississippi State. Don't act like we gave away the greatest offensive mind in the history of football.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying y'all hated it. I'm not saying you were wrong for it.
I mean, whatever. I think, listen, we agree, and I think everybody agrees, ultimately, the Seth Luttrell hire was lazy and it set us back offensively. Promoting John Finley was done out of fear of losing him and put him in a position not to be successful, which has created disconsternation or that's not even a word, consternation on the offensive side of the ball. I do think Arbuckle will put him in a good spot. I still think Bevo has not forgotten how to coach. I think we're going to be okay. However, something's going on. Zac Alley doesn't leave for West Virginia if everything's rosy. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
I appreciate your optimism saying you're going to be okay. But are you, though? 2 7-loss seasons in your first 3?
I don't know. Kevin, I don't know. I think...
we've talked about this before, and I'm a Texas fan. I've lived through a decade of this, and this feels just insanely familiar. I mean, it feels like the Charlie Strong era. Kevin, then you get to the patch where you're holding on to any hope that you can get. Year 3 of the Charlie Strong era, we brought in Sterling Gilbert, and we thought that, he was just going to be this savior because he had this innovative, Art Briles style offense. And the offense statistically was a lot better than it was, and we still finished 5-7, and Charlie Strong got fired. That's what this feels like to me.
Kevin, I've had 2 days since the bowl game, numerous hours on X and the internet, and listen to the radio and listen to other podcasts. And I want to be optimistic. I want to be that fanboy that loves Oklahoma and can't think of anything else but them doing well. To your point, what I cannot get out of my mind is 6 and 7. Yeah, you are what you are. At some point, you are what you are. And Kevin, it's how we lost games.
Yeah.
Okay? Because, absolute brutal schedule. 6th hardest schedule in the league, in the country. 6th hardest schedule in the country. Alabama. We've gone through it 100 times. Okay. You're going to lose some games. You just are. And then you talk about, and then what we didn't anticipate was how bad Seth Luttrell was going to be. Okay. All right. So now we've got a really bad Seth Luttrell. We got a really bad schedule. Oh, you know what else we didn't anticipate is how bad the injuries were going to be to the wide receivers. Okay, all right. So now we've got a really bad schedule. We've got a totally in over his head offensive coordinator, and we've got every possible receiver is out. Okay, that is a crappy hand to deal with Brent Venables. And yet, you still find ways to lose that have nothing to do with those factors.
Correct.
The Missouri loss is indefensible.
Yes.
It's indefensible. They have a backup quarterback. You have a touchdown lead. You have a touchdown lead with your defense, which, by the way, there are not injuries on. Right?
Yes.
You stop them. You don't stop them. Then your starting quarterback, 5-star, fumbles the ball. Did he fumble the ball because he doesn't have any receivers? The answer is no. He fumbled the ball because he sucked at ball security, and he sucked at it all year, and we didn't do anything to address it all year. Because you didn't have a quarterbacks coach, probably. South Carolina, very good football team. Very good football team in South Carolina. You might or might not beat South Carolina. What you can't do is block the two best edges in the league with the worst blocking tight end in the history of Oklahoma football.
Correct.
And expect to have anything but 3 game-changing turnovers in the first 5 minutes of the game and be down 21-0 at home. Blocking the edges of South Carolina have nothing to do with not having wide receivers. It just doesn't. It doesn't.
They have 2 dynamic edges, and you're blocking them with Barra Sharp.
I mean, look.
That's not even Barra Sharp's fault.
So you might ask.
We know what he is.
One might ask themselves, after the first time Barra Sharp gets lit up, maybe we don't have anybody that can block him. Okay. Then run Hawkins the other way. Get him out of there. Run the ball. If you punt 3 times against South Carolina on first down, the score is still 0-0.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we're up against. And so those are just 2. Now, listen, I don't know if we beat South Carolina. I don't know that the record is dramatically different. But it's the manner in which the losses occurred that I think OU fan sits back and goes, dang, we are 6-7, and we're a bad 6-7. Like, we're not even a good 6-7.
And that's what sucks, man. When you're 6-7, and you say, man, we were a couple plays away from being 4-8.
And a couple away from being 8-6.
8-4 in the regular season, yeah.
What? No, not 8-6. It would be 8-5 because we should have beat Missouri and we should have beat Navy.
Yeah,
but we didn't because we suck. Whatever. We spent too long talking about this. I don't know where you go here.
It's year 3, man. Like,
I know, Kevin. Just keep kicking me while I'm down. All right, listen.
Well, I'm not kicking you because you're my friend. But
I know.
OU fan overall, I am absolutely kicking. Yes. I mean, we went through this for a year, and I'm still recovering from being kicked by OU fan. So,
Kevin, let's cleanse the palate. Let's do a little advertisement here real quick, and then we're going to jump into the college football playoff. Texas fans, be ready. Texas fans, real quick, Robert Kevin, probably love that segment because it's just Oklahoma fan being miserable.
Of course.
They probably would rather listen to that than anything else. You know what my favorite thing to do when Oklahoma was good?
But troll Texas fans.
I didn't even necessarily troll them, but I would love to get on their chat rooms after a loss.
Oh, the meltdowns are incredible.
Oklahoma State, Texas games. It's the best thing in the world. Like finding, especially if OU was ever down, I don't even know what to do anymore with that. I don't even know. Now we're the guys that people get on the chat boards and they're the meltdown. Okay, whatever. Kevin, if you've had a loss out there to your home or your business, you call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a public insurance adjusting firm, works for the insured. That's you, the homeowner or business owner, and not the insurance company. Licensed by the state of Oklahoma and licensed in 22 other states to adjust claims to get you paid more money than you would on your own. Clients typically get 30 to 40% more money. Also, they handle the claims process for you. Call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. Kevin, It's a great time to get roofs taken care of in Oklahoma because conceivably there's not any hailstorms right now. Although who the heck knows with the weather that's going on? We saw some tornadoes down in Texas. But regardless of that, if somebody thinks they might need a new roof, who should they call?
Yeah, give our friends at Pioneer Roofing a call. They'll go out and give you a free inspection, let you know if you need a new roof or if you don't. If you do, they can help you through the claims process, get you all taken care of. Give them a call, 405-549-2712.
The second part of this podcast is dedicated to the University of Texas, who, in addition to playing in the college football playoff, is rubbing their success in the face of every Oklahoma fan. That's okay. They are going up against Arizona State in the Peach Bowl. Is it 11 a.m. or noon? Is it
I
noon
believe
local?
it's noon, yeah.
Okay, noon local in Atlanta, Georgia, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The line is the biggest line of the 4 quarterfinal games. Texas is a 13-point favorite. The over-under is 51.5. Kevin, I'm going to give you the only 2 statistics that matter. You tell me if I'm missing one. Scatterbo, the dynamic running back for Arizona State, has 1,568 yards and 19 touchdowns. A very good year. I don't care if he's in the Big 12 or not. It's a very good
Incredible
year.
year. Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, he's going up against Texas's rush defense that is ranked 11th nationally in the country, only giving up 104.5 yards a game. If I put the over-under at Scatterbo at 139.5 yards, if he rushes for 140, does Arizona State win the game?
They've got a good chance, man. They've got
I
a
think
good,
so.
If he runs for 140, they've got a great chance.
I think that's the number, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that's what has to happen. I think it's what has to happen.
And I think this kid is great, by the way. You know, he is probably, I can't think of a better running back that we faced all year. I mean, this dude is strong. He's quick. He's got great balance, too. That's what really separates him. He's not just running over guys. When he gets hit, he can bounce off players, but he can also keep his balance and just keep going to pick up extra yards. So it's going to have to be a game where the linebackers are disciplined and fitting the run correctly. And our tackling is going to have to be really good on all 3 levels because, you don't want a potential 4-yard gain to turn into a, 15-yard gain. Those are demoralizing for a defense. So, yeah, they're going to have to really play a disciplined game defensively to be able to slow him down.
Look, dude, I just think this is a very favorable matchup for Texas. The line agrees with me. It's not a dynamic offense. It's a solid offense. It's an efficient offense. Levitt's their quarterback. 2,663 yards, 24 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. Doesn't give the ball up a lot. So they're efficient, right? They don't make a lot of mistakes. They're obviously good enough to have won to this point 10 games in the season in a pretty good, in a crowded, crowded Big 12.
Yeah.
But just not sure they got the explosiveness to go up against this Texas defense. I still think the defense has continued game after game to be where y'all need it to be. I'm done asking if Quinn is going to have a breakout game. I think he's Mr. 212 yards passing right now. Like, that's what he is.
Listen, man.
212 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Like, I can give you a stat line right now.
Look, I'll tell you right now, if Quinn Ewers plays like he did against Clemson, Texas can win the national championship.
212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would like, and I say that I don't like the interception, but the interception wasn't his fault. That wasn't an interception-worthy throw. That was a throw that was hit the receiver in the hands, got tipped up in the air.
Right.
So if he
don't
football,
tell me he's not. Don't tell me though, like he's not capable of throwing an interception.
Of course he's capable of throwing an interception. Okay. Throws one almost every game. But I'm just saying, if he plays like that, the interception in that game was not his fault. So if he plays like that, where he doesn't have that interception throw, takes care of the football, makes good throws, makes some clutch throws like he did, we can win the Natty. 100%.
Well, I think you can absolutely beat Arizona State. I looked at your schedules, trying to get a vibe of where Arizona State ranks against teams you've had to play this year.
Yeah.
So you played Georgia. We know Georgia's way at the top. A&M and Clemson. Who was better, A&M or Clemson? Clemson, right?
Yeah, I would say Clemson. I mean, just because the experience with the coaching staff, and they have a much better quarterback.
Okay. Is ASU better than A&M?
I don't think so. They might be as good. They might be as good.
And I don't know either. I don't know. I think it's an interesting conversation. I don't think they're as good as Clemson, though, right? I think we'd agree with that.
Yeah, I would say so.
So this is
They're a good football team, though. I respect Arizona State, man. I think they're a good football team. I just don't think they're the matchup that Clemson was, though. Clemson had some things offensively that can give the talent they have at wide receiver. I mean, it's a great receiving core that Clemson had this year.
Yeah.
And with a quarterback in Klubnik who is athletic and accurate. That can be tough to defend.
And played with increasing confidence as the year went on.
Correct.
You could see the confidence level with Klubnik. And it looked he's not the reason Clemson got beat.
Not at all.
They couldn't stop the run game. Clemson could not stop the run game. I didn't look up Arizona's rush D. I mean, should we expect that to be an issue for Texas not to be able to run the ball against Arizona State?
I'm not. No.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the plan, is to dominate in the trenches on both sides. Similar to the Clemson game.
Here's what stands out with Arizona State, their schedule. It's their losses. Right?
Yes.
They lost to Texas Tech. And again, everybody's allowed one stupid loss. Georgia lost to Kentucky. Or no, they didn't. They almost lost to Kentucky. But everybody's allowed a stupid loss. Everybody gets one.
Yeah.
But they lost to Texas Tech and Cincinnati. Like, those teams are very good.
Not at all.
Now, they do have wins over K-State, BYU, which, by the way, how did you like the Colorado Love Fest on ESPN last night? I bet you loved it. I bet you thought this was the best broadcast crew in the history of college football.
Hey, man, look, stars
aware?
matter.
Were they aware that BYU was even in the game?
Hey, man, look, stars matter, man. But shout out to BYU, man. They were really good last night.
You're deflecting. You're deflecting from the situation. BYU rolled them, and all they could talk about was Colorado.
Hey, man, stars matter.
Oh, my gosh.
We're watching for a reason.
Exhibition games. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, exhibition games.
Exactly. Anyway, and we're watching for a reason. That's the reason why we're watching the Alamo Bowl, and it's because of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Coach Prime. Shout out to BYU, though. They were outstanding.
ASU's best wins against KSU, BYU, Iowa State. Here's the deal.
Good teams, by the way.
And I think Texas is a good team. I do. But Texas, at any point in time, could have lost to a K-State, BYU, or an Iowa State.
Yeah.
Like, those teams have a tendency to get up and get you. Texas, even when you're good, Oklahoma, even when they're good. Like, those could be good teams. So to beat those three teams, you're like, okay, this is a good football team.
It is.
I just don't think they got the firepower.
The strength of schedule, I mean, per ESPN.
35th.
Where are you seeing that at?
I saw it on like collegereference.com or something.
Oh, okay.
I saw Texas.
Okay.
Texas had 15th strength of schedule, and ASU had 35th. And that was
okay. Again, okay, this is just per ESPN. And again, there's probably different metrics for different algorithms and stuff. They have, I show Arizona State as 66 in strength of schedule. Texas number 14.
Oh man, it doesn't matter. I could have sworn I had them at 35th, but I don't think they'd have been at 66. Their schedule wasn't that bad. They played all the names in the outside of Colorado. They played everybody in the Big 12 that had winning records.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Kansas
State had a winning record. BYU had a winning record. Iowa State had a winning record. Arizona ended at 500. I can't imagine they were that low.
I mean, it's per ESPN from what I'm seeing on their on the FTI deal.
Did that include their win over Iowa State in the Big 12?
Yeah. This is everything. Everything to this point.
All right, hold on. I'm looking this up. All right, I was looking at collegefootballnetwork.com,
Okay.
and I'm just going to double check because
Sure.
whatever their number was, it has Arizona State 184.75. And as a comparison, Texas was 213.25, Oklahoma 238, Michigan with the toughest schedule at 254.
Michigan. Interesting. Again, you get different
Well,
outlets
whatever.
and they measure it differently, right? Like ESPN has Georgia number 1, Mississippi State 2, Florida, Kentucky, OU at 5, A&M at 6. I said Texas at 14.
Well, regardless, here's the deal. Just for the record, we didn't pick this game on the air because we forgot. But we later picked the OU Navy game. At the time, the spread was 3. Kevin and I both picked OU to cover. So
That's
we have
right.
to take the L.
Yeah.
That moves you to 40, 40, and 1. You're at 500. I'm 36, 44, and 1. Okay, so we're gonna pick 4 games now because we got the quarterfinals. Texas, right here. It's 13 points. Who do you got?
Texas to win and Texas to cover.
All right, I've got to go opposite of you to catch it, and I got to give ASU some love. I think ASU loses, but I do think they cover.
Okay.
I do think they cover. I think it's a college football playoff game. I think these games are going to be tighter. Now, that's not what we saw in week 1 of the college football playoff. So
I
maybe
can see it kind of going like that. Like the Texas Clemson game was a competitive football game. Texas still covered.
How much advantage? We haven't talked about this, and but for all the teams, Boise, Arizona State, Oregon, and Georgia, after playing games 7 or 8 days ago, you're closer to the game now than when I asked you this question the first time. How much of a disadvantage are they at not having gotten to play in 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like we'll be the fresher team. I mean, obviously they'll be fresh from a rest standpoint, but I think we'll be more in a rhythm than
Oh, I didn't
than
ask.
we'll be. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, but also I didn't ask you about injuries. But go ahead with your. I didn't want to forget that.
Yeah, our guys are good to go.
All 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you have Texas, I have ASU. All right. New Year's Eve, Boise State versus Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl, 6:30. Penn State in another big line is an 11-point favorite. Stat of the game: Ashton Genty with 2,497 yards rushing and 29 touchdowns, going up against a seventh ranked nationally rush defense, 100.4 yards a game, a 4th ranked total defense with 280 yards a game, 15.9 points per game. Kevin, if they focus in on Genty, does Boise State have anything else to overcome Penn State with?
I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough because they have a solid quarterback. They've got solid receivers. But if you shut down Genty, if they could shut him down,
Matson's got 2,700 yards passing, 22 touchdowns against only 3 interceptions.
Yeah. But man, a lot of that's predicated off the play action from running the ball so effectively. Now, can you shut down Genty? Can Penn State do that?
I have to be honest. I have not seen a full Ashton Genty Boise State game. Have you?
No. I watched a lot of the Oregon game, but not all of it. It's hard to watch just one game.
There are so many running backs in the history of college football that just can't be stopped. You could have figured out, you could have ganged up on Adrian Peterson and the dude was still going to get 100 yards.
Yeah.
You couldn't stop Barry Sanders in college or the pros. Like,
no,
he had nobody.
No
look at those old Lions
no
teams
chance.
had nobody around him. It didn't matter. You could
Yeah.
put 11 guys on the line. He was going to get his. Now, those two are maybe the 2 greatest running backs in the history of college football. I don't know. Along with, I don't want to diminish anybody. Is Genty that good? That's what I guess what I'm asking. Is he that
Yeah.
good that Penn State can load up on him and he can still get his? Or is this going to be an Ollie Gordon-like performance against Texas last year in the Big 12 championship game?
Yeah, I'm hoping to see that, Penn State, or excuse me, Boise State can have some creative ways to get him into space, right? They might not be able just to run right at Penn State because of the type of guys that Penn State has up front. But I want to see maybe some misdirection and stuff, and it's just get him in space and see if he can make those talented athletes that Penn State has miss in space and take it to the house and create some big plays that way. It's going to be fun, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
The line's 11. I just don't think Boise State has it in them, dude. I think Penn State looked really good against, defensively in particular, really good against SMU. They were okay offensively, but they were really good defensively. If they're this good defensively against Boise State, I just don't think they have it in them. I think I'm picking Penn State to cover.
I am too. I hope Genty goes nuts and just makes it fun and competitive because he's been so good this year, and it would be great to see him on that stage have a good performance. And here's the thing, man. I want to see what the Boise State defense is about. Can they stop the run and make Drew Aller and Penn State's passing game beat them? Because that's not how Penn State wants to win. And are they capable of winning that way if they have to? That's what I really want to see. Can Boise State keep this game close and slow down Penn State's rushing attack, which looked really good against SMU, by the way? Yeah. And SMU has a pretty good defense. But can they do that? Can they keep it close, make Drew Aller have to beat them, and can Drew Aller do it?
I'm just worried that we saw the same level of athlete at SMU that we're going to see at Boise State, and it was too much.
I think SMU has better athletes than Boise State.
Here's the other problem. So much of SMU's was self-inflicted in the first half.
It really was.
So maybe Boise State plays a cleaner game and we don't throw 3 touchdowns and 2 pick sixes or 3 pick sixes or whatever it was. I mean, maybe we're just skewed by how bad SMU was. I don't know what I'm rooting for. I just don't know if I'm going to see it. I mean, this is definitely it might not be David and Goliath, but it's a big dog versus an underdog.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, Boise State. But good for them, right? In the old system, Boise State was always good. They would always have that opening game against a Power 5 team, and they would always win. Yeah,
I feel like Georgia, it was always Oregon. Against Georgia, maybe not.
Yeah, they beat Georgia, they beat Oregon. I think, was it West Virginia they beat one year? So, yeah, they've always done good. So it's nice to see them actually have a chance, a legit chance.
I think you're thinking of Virginia Tech. They beat Virginia Tech one year.
Yeah,
remember
Virginia
that?
Tech. Yeah, I do. Yeah, so I think it's great for them to have the opportunity to legitimately win a national championship. So we'll see if they can take advantage of it.
Okay. Those are the 2 spread-heavy games, if you will, right, with really big spreads.
Yeah.
These last 2 are the big boys, and the spreads are very small, very tight windows. There's ESPN has very close predictions on both. Starting in the Rose Bowl, 4:00, Ohio State and Oregon on January 1st. The absolute best seed in college football, and
it's the best seed in American sports.
I don't think it's close. In the shadow of the San Gabriel Mountains, right? So Ohio State's a 2.5-point favorite. Over under is 55.5. In the previous matchup, now we can gripe and moan about Oregon having to play them again. At this point, it doesn't matter. They're playing them again. In the previous matchup, it was 32-31 at Oregon. And more or less a barn burner. There's some weird things that happened in that game. I thought Ohio State got the benefit of a couple calls. All that to be said, it was a heck of a game. And I'm hoping, I really, really want a good matchup here, right? I want to see these guys really, really excel and battle. I would love to see a repeat of this 32-31 matchup. Will Howard, I think this includes the playoff game, is 3,171 yards, 29 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Dylan Gabriel, though, one less game, 3,500. Well, maybe not one less game, because Ohio State was in the Big Ten. When Ohio State went in the Big Ten championship.
Oh, that's true.
So Dylan Gabriel, 3,558 yards, 28 touchdowns against only 6 interceptions. Look, I'm sick that Dylan Gabriel is playing for Oregon in this situation, especially everything that OU's going through. But I'm 1,000% pulling for him. I think he's a good dude. I think he did his job at Oklahoma, and in the world that is now college football, this is where we're at. But I don't think the matchup is a Will Howard DG matchup for me. I think the matchup, and maybe it's not a matchup because they're not going up against each other, but I think the stat line is Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver for Ohio State versus James, the running back from Oregon. And I think whoever makes the biggest plays. I think those are your two dudes. If Oregon can run the ball with James against Ohio State, and if Jeremiah Smith can get loose against Oregon, whoever makes the bigger plays, that's who I think is going to win this ball game.
Yeah, it's a fascinating matchup, right? It's interesting seeing a rematch. And, I want to see, though, if Ohio State can run the football effectively against Oregon. They have been leaky from a run defensive standpoint. We talked about this. Give up like almost 300 yards rushing to Penn State in the the Big Ten championship game. If Ohio State can run the ball, then I think they have a really good chance to win the game, and that opens up the downfield passing game even more so. What I don't want to see, if you're an Ohio State fan, if it really come down to a quarterback battle, because I think there's a clear quarterback advantage for Oregon having Dylan Gabriel. I think Dylan Gabriel is meant for these. He's built for these kind of situations. I trust him in a close, tight situation more than I do Will Howard.
I'm looking at the previous game, and Oregon outrushed Ohio State 155 to 141 yards.
Mm-hmm.
They outpassed them 341 to 326. Those are really similar. Ohio State had more first downs. Fourth down efficiency, 2 for 2 for Ohio State, 1 for 2, 68 versus 65 total plays, 3 punts, 3 punts. Ohio State did have 8 penalties in the first matchup, only 1 turnover, and it was a fumble loss by Ohio State. This game was incredibly close, Kevin.
It was.
It was an incredibly close football game. Oregon did outscore them 10-3 in the fourth quarter. It's hard to beat a good team twice. It is hard to beat a good team twice. And Ohio State has the benefit of having played and rolled Tennessee. They're going to have a lot of momentum. I do not want to pick Ohio State, but I'm afraid, dude. I'm afraid Ohio State's going to have too much for Oregon in the rematch. I am taking Ohio State to win and cover the 2.5. Oh, I hate saying that.
So am I. Yeah.
Are you really?
So
Are you really?
Yeah. Too many weapons. And let's not forget, both teams play good defense, but I think Ohio State's better. I think Ohio State has a better defense.
But you're not rooting for Ohio State. We can agree with that.
No, not at all. Fine. No. I mean, this could be potentially setting up Texas versus Ohio State if Texas handles business against Arizona State.
Is that the matchup? That's it, right? That's the bracket.
Texas will, the Texas-Arizona State winner will play the winner of this game.
The over-under was
in Jerry
50,
World.
The over-under is 55.5. The score last time was 63. Would you take the over-under in a bowl game? Would you take the over-under? 55.5.
What is it again?
It's 55.5. In their first matchup, they scored 63 together.
I'll take the over.
See, I don't know, man. I think the only thing I'm going to say is I think in an over situation, if it goes into an over like shootout, I trust Oregon way more in a shootout than I do Ohio State.
I do trust Dylan Gabriel more in a matchup like this than I do Will Howard. But man, the weapons that Ohio State, and look, Oregon has crazy weapons too with Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart out there. But man, Ohio State just has, they have 3 5-star receivers that they play.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith's as good as all of them, man. He's so good.
Yeah, he's the best one. That's the crazy part. Mecca Ibuka and Carnell Tate are all 5-star receivers, and they all play like it too. get the ball to those guys. But if they can run the ball with Judkins and with Travion Henderson, it could be a long day for Oregon. And I think they finish 10th in the conference in rush defense. Oregon did. So, I mean, I think there may be some ways you can exploit them running the football. And I'm curious to see if Ohio State, what's the game plan from Kelly? Obviously, they won't run the stupid game plan they ran against Michigan, which cost them the football game.
Well, it might work against Oregon, though. It might.
Yeah.
I guess.
You have a much better chance of doing it against them than you do against
the strength of Michigan is right up the middle. I don't know what.
Yeah. That'll be forever. That one will haunt them forever.
Yeah, I didn't realize Michigan was playing Alabama in a bowl game. It's interesting, right?
It is very interesting.
Do they always? I feel like they always play a bowl game. Like they're always in the Capital Bowl or whatever.
They played quite a few times in recent years, in bowl games. Real quick though, just to recap that we talked about the Big Ten championship game, and Penn State 34 carries for 297 yards against Oregon.
Yeah, that's why we picked Ohio State, Kevin. That's why we both picked Ohio State. You think in these playoff games, the team that runs the ball better is going to win.
Right. They had
I think it's true in the previous two games we talked about, too. I think if Scotty Bo goes over 140 yards, I think Arizona State could probably win the game. And if Genty goes for 150, Penn State's got all they can handle. All they can handle.
I mean, he had a similar type game against Oregon.
But they didn't know who he was then. We
knew who he wasn't. I did.
Well, you did. But second game of the season, did they really think he was all that? Did they think he was going to rush for 2,500 yards?
Maybe not that. Yeah. But, I mean, they knew watching the tape, this is the guy we need to stop.
Is he go pro after this year?
Yeah, I'm sure. I think he's a junior.
Well, I'm just asking, is he a junior? Is he a
he is draft eligible. Yeah, he's draft eligible.
Yeah, you got to go if you're a quarterback. Okay.
Yeah, I think he goes in the first round.
In the nightcap, Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame versus Georgia. Georgia's a 1-point favorite, which I find surprising. Georgia is down to their second-string quarterback, Gunnar Stockton. Carson Beck is out. He's also declared for the draft. I do not anticipate him being a very good pro quarterback, but that's just me. So basically, it's a matchup between Riley Leonard going up against Gunnar Stockton. I guess my question is, I thought a lot of different ways about asking this. Texas has played Georgia twice. So in terms of Texas, what can Notre Dame do differently than Texas did in their two losses?
Well, hopefully for Notre Dame, they can run the football against Georgia, because that's what Texas has not been able to do in both matchups. That's literally what it comes down to. Can you run the ball against them?
What's your answer to that question?
I think they have a good chance. I like their two running backs. I like their offensive line. They are young. And it's hard to run against a motivated Georgia. You just never know what Georgia you're going to get. I imagine they'd be very motivated with the national championship on the line. But that's the thing with them, right? I think they played only maybe 2 or 3 games where you could say they were actually truly fired up and ready to go. And 2 of those were against Texas. I think they'll be ready to go.
What's the other one?
Oh,
Tennessee?
I guess the second half of the Alabama game.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because they weren't ready. They were ready to play against Alabama that first half.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. And the fact that Georgia, they have struggled against mobile quarterbacks. We saw what Haynes King was able to do against them. Can Riley Leonard have a similar performance against that defense?
We've seen in the past Notre Dame make the BCS and even the 14 playoff, both under Brian Kelly, and get pushed around by SEC teams.
Yeah.
That 2013 matchup with Manti Te'o against Alabama, they just got...
They got mauled.
They got mauled.
Yeah.
They did not have the dudes. Is this different this time around? Does Notre Dame have dudes this time around that can go toe-to-toe with Big Bad Georgia?
I think they do. I think they do, man. I think their defensive line is good. I think, and they play disciplined defense too. That's the thing about them. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't see them having many busts defensively, man. I think it's gonna be a fight. It's kind of like the SEC championship game was. It was an absolute fight in the trenches, right? And it could have gone either way. They were able to outlast Texas. I think we're looking at a similar game, one of those 4-quarter fistfights.
All right, let's pick it. Listen, this is my favorite game of the weekend. If I had to pick one to watch, this is the one I'd want to watch. To me, it's SEC. It's the history of Notre Dame. It's a good young coach in Marcus Freeman, still young but established. Kirby Smart.
Yeah,
I kind of wish Carson Beck was playing just so you could see good
me
on
too.
good. But I want to see this matchup, and I think you're going to know a lot about Georgia. If Georgia beats down Notre Dame, they're going to win the national championship. I'm just telling you that right now. If
Yeah.
they beat down Notre Dame, and that includes, I don't care what Ohio State does, I don't care what Texas does. I think it could be a situation if Georgia beats down Notre Dame, if they get to the finals against Texas, they beat Texas a third time. You'll probably disagree with that. I'm just saying.
Listen, man, it would be hard for me to pick Texas to beat Georgia after them losing to them twice already. So
But
I understand what you're saying there.
I like Notre Dame. And you know what? I like Notre Dame's helmets. I'm taking Notre Dame. Their helmets look great in that first playoff match, didn't they? God.
Didn't it? Oh man, that was a cool thing about the first round. I know the games weren't close, but those atmospheres and just it was incredible. It was really fun stuff to watch.
How about the Indiana helmet? I thought the
Yeah, it looked good.
helmet with the two stripes, and they kind of had
Yeah.
that metallic red, crimson almost. Oh my gosh, dude,
Yeah.
it looked really, really good. I love it.
Yeah, aren't they the OG Crimson and Cream, Indiana?
Yeah, maybe they are.
I think they are. Yeah, I think that's their official colors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So
That's okay.
not hating, not talking crap.
That's
Just saying.
fine. That doesn't bother me.
Um,
I always
but
thought
yeah.
their warm up. I always thought their warm up pants in basketball were a bit much.
Oh, the candy cane stuff, the peppermint or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I don't like those either.
I always thought that was stupid. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Pick the game. Notre Dame, Georgia. -1. Georgia's -1.
So, man, I'm rooting for Notre Dame. I just can't pick against Georgia, man.
What?
So I got Georgia. I am openly rooting for the Fighting Irish. And I think
Isn't that weird to say? Doesn't that feel a little weird to say?
Yes, correct. And Georgia has been waiting to get got all year, but man, there's something about that team in those clutch moments. They just seem to make it happen.
I don't know
Texas
how
felt that.
I don't know how Georgia escaped Kentucky. Okay, I watched that whole game, and I don't know how they escaped Kentucky. They haven't looked good all year, even in their wins, even against wins against Texas. I mean, how many
The second one,
interceptions?
Texas should have won the SEC championship game.
Well,
Yeah,
but in the first one,
Beck had three.
Carson Beck
Three.
had 3 picks in the first half of the first game.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Georgia is. Now, maybe they're just a team that knows how to win. Like right now, OU is a team that knows how to lose. Maybe Georgia's a team that knows how to win.
100% a team that knows how to win. It's
Well,
like they don't know how to lose, even more importantly.
I hope Notre Dame.
They had every reason to lose that game against Texas.
I hope Notre Dame takes care of business. Kevin, let's have some final thoughts here. Why don't you tell us about your Texas Longhorns? Final thoughts. They're playing Arizona State. What does this win mean for the program? What does it mean for Quinn Ewers' legacy? And anything else you've got as Texas gets ready to play Arizona State in the Peach
Yeah,
Bowl?
man. I mean, it means everything. Just given where the program was just 4 years ago, you bring in Sark, goes 5-7, then 8-5. You start to build a little hope, a little optimism. The recruiting goes well. The development has been going well. Make the college football playoff last year. And just remember, Texas is the only team that was in the playoff last year that made it this year, even in an expanded field. So, man, it's great, man. I think all Texas fans, at least the diehard ones, understand that, this is kind of feels like a golden era that's going on right now. And I appreciate it because I know what OU fan is feeling right now. We went through that for an entire decade. So it's great to see that this win, which just means so much, just meaning that you're back amongst the elite in college football. That you're a true championship contender. And it looks like anything can happen, right? And it can happen quickly. But it looks like we're here to stay. And I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm going to close with OU thoughts. I don't know where OU goes from here. Even if Zac Alley has left on the best of terms, even if he's left on the best of terms, even if him and Brent Venables had a deep, long conversation and Brent Venables said, I support you, Zac, because you're the son I never had. So go be great. It's still not good for Oklahoma. Whether it's perception, whether it's reality, whether it's a mixture of both, the loss of your defensive coordinator after only 1 year and a year of success is a bad thing to have happened, especially when he's not going to be promoted. It just doesn't look right and doesn't feel right. In terms of being hopelessly optimistic, yep, I am. I'm an OU fan. I'm going to be hopelessly optimistic. We've got 8 months again until I get to see my team tee it up in college football. There are some good things happening at OU. You asked what do we have to look forward to. I think Ben Arbuckle's something to look forward to. I think John Mateer is something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But I can't escape the fact that we were 6-7 this year. Can't escape that.
Yeah.
I can't escape that we've had 17 losses in the last 3 years. I can't escape the manner in which we lost games. So it's tough. It's rough. It's been a hell of a year. I'm not happy it's over though, Kevin, because I want to watch my team play football as often as they can. So for the people that say, well, I'm glad the season's over. No, I'm not that. I wish they would play it next week because I want to watch them again. And I want to watch them overcome. And I hope that come August, they figure it out. I root for Brent Venables. The dude personally has been through a lot. Professionally, he's done everything to put himself in this position. This wasn't a bad hire. Nobody who hired Brent Venables, whether that was Oregon or Auburn or LSU or Notre Dame or anybody that could have hired Brent Venables, would have made a bad hire at the time. So this isn't a homer hire. This was a good hire at the time. I want it to work out. But Kevin, there's more questions than answers. And we've got 8 months to try to think.
And that's the hard part. You know, when you end the season on a bad note like that, and now you just got so many questions, man. And like I told you, I've been there, and it sucks. It absolutely sucks, man. Like even as fans, obviously, we're not out on the field, we're not in those coaching meetings, but we put a lot into this, right? We put a lot of time, a lot of energy and effort into these seasons. And when they don't go well, when you expect them to go well, it's hard. It's frustrating. It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you gave me a lot of crap about my picks, and I was probably obviously I was too optimistic, but I still look back and think, my God, we were in some of these games, you know?
Yeah.
And I would have loved to know what we could have done with Nick Anderson and Jaden Gibson and Andrell Anthony and Jaleel Farouk and a healthy offensive line. Like, what does that look like? I kind of feel like Seth Luttrell would have figured out a way to screw it up anyway. But maybe not. Maybe with that talent, who knows what would have happened. At the end of the day, Kevin, it's a season lost. It's a season lost for Oklahoma. And this is Oklahoma. And Brent Venables, he doesn't have another chance. This is it.
No.
Playoff or bust. Playoff or bust.
Okay, so you think he has to make the play?
I think Porter Moser has to make the tournament, and I think Brent Venables has to make the playoff or be the number 13 team. He's got to be South Carolina knocking at the door.
Okay, that's a big ask. Just given the
I don't care, Kevin. What we've learned is that making the playoff, this is going to sound crazy, is not that hard.
Yeah, but it's harder. It's harder in the SEC, given with your schedule.
Great. We're Oklahoma.
No, and I'm not arguing with that.
And I'm not.
And that's
I'm saying
the
it can be as hard as
there, and it's fair. It's what it is.
It's what it is.
University of Oklahoma.
Dude, we beat Alabama 24-3. You're telling me we don't have talent?
I don't know if you
You
have
beat
the
Alabama
talent that's
24 to
needed.
3.
I don't know if you have the talent that's needed to compete week in and week out and finish with one of the top teams in the conference.
Okay.
I'm being completely legitimate when I say that.
I don't think that I disagree with you. I'm saying, are we talentless if we could beat an Alabama team
No,
24
of
to
course,
3?
no, you're not talentless.
And that
You
was
got
with no,
players, dude. You got
Kevin, no
dudes.
wide receivers, dude. No wide receivers.
Yeah. But who do you have now, though?
Deion Burks that apparently doesn't like to play. How about that?
Yeah.
Weird, right? Can we go back
These
to
guys
that?
are, yes, please, let's do that. Have you heard anything why he wasn't out there?
No. It's weird, dude. Like people are
When he
giving
practicing?
People are giving Cam Ward crap. And
For
I
sitting
don't
out
have
the
any
second
idea what's
half?
going on. It's not my team. I don't really know what's going on there. I find it very, 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 very hard to believe that Cristobal and Cam Ward didn't know exactly what was happening going into that game.
Yes.
I
I would
don't
agree.
imagine that Cam Ward stood up at halftime and raised his hand and was like, "Oh, by the way, coach, I'm not playing again." I
Yeah.
guarantee the whole team knew
Correct.
because it's an exhibition game. Okay,
That's right.
so I don't really care about that. People are trying to make that a story, whatever. I don't really care. But for Deion Burks, it's weird. Like, you're going to play, you're doing a whole jersey reveal, you're healthy, the rest of the team's healthy, you're not leaving for the pros like Cam Ward is. Like, I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make sense. Did he re-aggravate an injury? That's the only sense. If at the last day of practice or in warm-ups, he pulled his hammy again. That's the only sense I can make to that.
It is weird. So yes, Kevin, listen, here's my fear. Okay, is that you're right and I'm wrong. And if we know anything from the 3+ years of doing the Boomer Bevo podcast, you're right more than I am.
True.
So that's my fear, is that the trend plays out. And that honestly is what has me more nervous about anything. Kevin, we can keep going on.
Real quick, a lot of pressure coming into the season on our young Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer. So basically, you're hoping, and it could happen. I'm not saying it's not, but you need Arbuckle to be Lincoln Riley, and you need Mateer to be Baker Mayfield, circa 2015. That's what almost has to happen for this to work, or it's all over with Venables, and you're back started from scratch.
I think about Indiana and their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
If we had that level of offensive success that Indiana had, Oklahoma would be a very good football team.
Yes.
And I don't know why Mateer can't be as good as the quarterback at Indiana, as an example.
He's much more talented and dynamic than Curtis Rourke is.
And should be surrounded by, I don't know if he is. You don't think he is, maybe. But should be surrounded by a little bit better talent. You hope. You're in Oklahoma. Got a better defense. If he's better than that guy in our system, which I'm not saying he's got to be Baker. I'm not saying he's got to be Dylan Gabriel. I think he needs to be Dylan Gabriel 2023.
Yes.
Which did not get him an invite to New York, but he was really, really good.
He was really good, though. Yeah.
I think you have to see that. Is Mateer more talented than Dylan Gabriel, Kevin? I
think it's similar. I think they're very similar.
Okay. So, yeah I think that's what you got to see. If you got 23's offense, right, and the defense continues to mature with the playmakers that we do have, we've got a chance to be 9-3, a legit chance to be 9-3. And as we've seen, 9-3 with a really tough schedule almost might make the playoffs.
Yeah. It's a tough schedule.
It's a tough schedule, Kevin.
Now, again, we're projecting, though, right, what these teams are going to look like.
You know, Ole Miss loses Jackson Dart, but I don't know. The dude behind him looks pretty good. Tennessee loses Dylan Sampson. We saw that. So we'll see. South Carolina loses one of their edges.
Yeah, Kyle Kennard. They bring back Dylan Stewart, though, who's even more talented than Kennard is.
Tennessee loses their other edge.
Yeah, James Pierce is gone. Yeah, and
So
they're getting hit by the portal a lot too.
yeah, so there's some there. You're right. We are projecting, and the problem is, I like Josh Heupel as a coach. I like Beaver as a coach. I love Lane Kiffin. I don't know that I want him to be my coach, but I think he's great for the game.
Yeah,
And I don't know if Brent Venables is in their class because so far to date he's not.
correct.
So far to date he's not. So
Yeah, I like Beamer a lot. I think he's done a fantastic job at South Carolina.
yeah, dude, 9-3. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he seems like he's building something there. He's truly building something at South Carolina, which we haven't really seen. I mean, I thought Spurrier did a really good job there in the late 2000s and 2010s, really recruiting big time players from the state, Jadeveon Clowney and Alshon Jeffrey, and who was a running back?
Lattimore.
Yeah, who was an incredible player before that devastating knee injury he suffered. So he seems to be doing that, maybe even at slightly a higher level. So I think if you have to make a change, he would definitely be your number one or number two option to see if he'll come back to Norman.
The one thing we haven't talked about, I know we're going a little long, but it's okay. If people are still listening. The one thing we haven't talked about is the personal impact that Brent Venables' life has had. He's going through some stuff, right? It's
Incredibly
like
difficult stuff,
the worst imaginable stuff a husband can go through, I think.
for sure.
And I don't know how these guys do it on some level. Now, listen, I, as an Oklahoma fan, am not excusing any of it, unfortunately. Still Oklahoma. Tell your quarterback not to drop the ball against Missouri. But in real life, it's like, man, this is nuts, dude.
There's a lot, it's a lot to manage.
How do you think guys like that do it? How do they partition their lives like that?
I have no idea, while still being as present as possible with your family while managing a big time college football program. Especially nowadays, you're having to deal with the NIL stuff, the transfer portal.
You don't get an off season. You don't hardly get an off season.
No, you're always grinding, man.
Okay, I've got a transfer portal rule I'd like to enact when they ask me what I think would fix things. Are you ready for this? You tell me if this fixes it.
Okay.
New transfer portal rules effective 2025. One free transfer, no restrictions, no penalties, no sit outs, no nothing. Exactly like it is now. Every transfer after that, you have to sit out a year with no loss of eligibility.
Okay.
Can we do that? Can we do that, Kevin?
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it, but man,
everybody gets. You make the wrong decision. You do whatever, and if you want to put one in there about the head coach leaving, I guess.
That's what I was going to say, because at this you can't really do that to the coaches, or the coaches can leave every year to go to another job.
I know, but there's got to be some continuity with it. I mean, they're making it really hard on teams, all teams, being able to compete. I think it affects the level of play of the game. It's still a fan-driven sport. Okay? Fans drive all this money that they're talking about is driven by the fans.
Yeah.
So give the fans some continuity on their roster. Do it for what's made college football great. And so everybody gets a free transfer. That's fine. You don't like where you're at. You want the better. Great. Free transfer. That was never the rule. They went from 0 to hero. You know what I'm saying? Like they went from all or nothing or whatever, vice versa. You had to, if you transferred, you had to sit out and, you had to get that approved by and they just threw it all. They threw the baby out with the bathwater type deal. And it's like, just rein in a little bit, free transfer. Any transfer after that, outside of your head coach leaving, is a 1-year sit out, but it does not affect your eligibility. You still maintain however many years of eligibility left after that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be cool with that. I just don't see it happening.
I wish it would, man. I'm so sick of this transfer portal.
Yeah.
I'm just sick of it.
Yeah. And again, it's really hard for those teams if you're having to completely rebuild your roster. That's the hard part.
But it's hard for every team, dude. Look at Tennessee, man. Tennessee makes the playoff, and he's got to re-recruit his whole roster.
Yeah. A lot of guys leaving.
That's
a
tough,
lot of guys
man.
leaving. Yeah, it is. It is. It's crazy.
All right, we've gone long,
It's
Kevin.
crazy.
We've gone long. We fixed college football. If they'll just listen to us, that'll get to you. Just so you know, the Cowboys at 12:35 p.m. are tied 7-7 with the Philadelphia Eagles. So it sucks. They're out of the playoffs, but it is what it is. Arizona State takes on Texas. Go Sun Devils. Kevin, have a great New Year. We will talk as soon as do a game review on Thursday, January 2nd. In the meantime, have a great New Year's Eve, a great New Year. Boomer!
Hook 'em. Let's go.